Merry Christmas, KH, you filthy animal.
Wow! A talking coffee. That's incredible. Baggity bow bow. Well, thank you, Mr. Coffee. Very nice. Oh, hi there. Come in. Come in and join me. Yeah, sit down. Okay. Hello, everyone, and Merry Christmas. Welcome back to another episode of the Shakakapow Christmas. And today we're doing our first comic book review. So you guys know, like, Halloween and Christmas, they're kind of connected. Christmas is right after Halloween, so I thought for our first Christmas comic book review, it would be nice to do something that transitioned nicely from Halloween and into Christmas. Yeah, so I have something very cool to show you guys today. Today we are gonna talk about this one right here, Maniac of New York, Volume 1, The Death Train. Yes. So, when I read this, I thought it was like a standalone comic book, but it turned out it was Volume 1. I didn't know that when I read it, but I'm actually very glad that it's a part of a series. Why? Because it's really good. And you're like, yeah, but KH, like, it's a horror slasher. I know. So, yes, this is a horror slasher comic book, and it's basically Friday the 13th. Yes. In particular, Jason Takes Manhattan. Yeah, the last part of that movie, when Jason finally gets to New York. Yeah, what can I say? Like, this is heavily inspired from that, and it's really good. Go figure. And okay, yeah. So, of course, I could have done this for Halloween, but look at this. Look at this cover here with the snow. And also, our story starts on New Year's Eve of 2016. So, I mean, New Year's Eve, you can slide that right into the Christmas holidays, right? New Year still counts as Christmas, in my opinion. So therefore, I thought it would be nice to save this one for Christmas. Yeah, let's start with the obvious stuff. Okay, Maniac of New York. This comic book is written by Elliott Kalan and illustrated by Andrea Mutti, and the illustrations are amazing. I love this style. It's perfect, and I think if you had a different artist, it could very easily just become silly or boring, but the art style is just so good and very nicely done and perfect for this story. Okay, moving on. And we have Taylor Esposito as the letterer. This is a comic book published by Aftershock Comics, and originally this comic book came out in 2021. Now, with that out of the way, let's start with the story. As I said, it's kind of like a Friday the 13th story, a slasher horror story, but it's really good. I mean, normally I wouldn't expect that much from a slasher, but this story has a lot of cool things. It has good characters, and it has some nice twists. Yeah, and I'm very intrigued to see where this goes, like, past the first volume. Okay, now, as I mentioned, the story starts on New Year's Eve of 2016, when our killer, Maniac Harry, shows up. And Maniac Harry, he's got a mask very similar to Jason. And he also has this, I don't know, is it a sword? Is it a knife? He has this weird blade. So he shows up on Times Square on New Year's Eve of 2016, and then he just starts slaughtering people. And the police try to kill him and shoot him, but bullets can't hurt him. And he kills around 100 people, and then he just runs away. Yeah, because they can't stop him. So he kills a lot of people, and then he just disappears. So after that, we have we see the news and politicians and everyone talking, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna find him. The police are doing everything they can. We're gonna do everything in our power to stop him, find him, and bring him to justice. But then we jump 4 years into the future, and at that point, things have changed. So after 4 years, when they still haven't managed to stop him, the politics, the mentality around Maniac Harry, everything has changed a lot. So after 4 years, when he's just been turning up and killing people without anyone being able to stop him, they're treating the whole thing very differently. So now the mentality around him and the politics is Maniac Harry's just a thing that exists. He's just a part of life in New York. And yeah, so there's this pessimistic vibe or mood around the whole thing. It's a very dark and gritty comic book. And we follow two characters. We have a woman, Gina Green, and she's trying to stop Maniac Harry because she was perhaps one of his first surviving victims from back when Maniac Harry was a summer camp killer. Does that sound familiar? Yeah. And our other character is Zelda Pettibone, a police officer, and she's also very depressed and kinda almost suicidal because she turned a colleague, she snitched on another police officer because for good reason. I don't want to spoil too much, but she had very good reasons for doing that, but then she's kind of shunned. So these two team up to try to stop Maniac Harry, and they investigate and try to find out if there's a pattern to his killings, if he can be stopped, if there's any way he can be damaged. And as they start to investigate on this task force, we get more and more clues to that, okay, maybe there is a pattern and maybe he can be hurt. It's very interesting. And at the same time, there's this douchebag mayor in New York, only thinking about himself and his own agendas. He's promoting this new subway train. He has this unmanned train that is launching. So he wants everything to go perfect for the train's launch day. But what do you think happens? Of course, Maniac Harry shows up on the train on the first day. Oops. Sorry, McReady. Hang in there, okay? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, now, as I said, this comic book has way more depth to it than I would normally expect from a slasher horror comic book. And some of the themes surrounding the whole thing, you can read this and think, yeah, it's just a fun, violent horror comic book. But it has some dark themes that you can interpret in different ways. And yeah, good characters, good story, very fun read. Okay, as always, I don't want to give away too much. I would rather you read this and enjoy it for yourselves. If you're into 80s horror or slasher movies, then this is definitely up your alley. And if you like horror comic books, yeah, check this one out. I would totally recommend Maniac of New York. And that's it for today's episode. Thanks, guys, for stopping by, and be sure to drop by again because we're going to do more Christmas videos. So, yeah, thanks, and I'll see you in the next episode. Have a good night. More coffee, Cage? No, don't do Cage. It's 2 in the morning.